I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's a good sign. It's the first day of spring, and our senator had to put on sunblock, which I think is a good thing, right? We're all glad it's getting warmer. But unfortunately, normally at a habitat site, it's a great day. We're celebrating dedications or groundbreakings. Unfortunately, today we're here for a much different reason. If you have not heard, the president is proposing slashing HUD funding out of his budget. And at Habitat for Humanity, both here in Newcastle County and across the country, we are extremely concerned about that. Just to give you some more background on that, Habitat uses several of HUD's programs, okay, to build our housing, to support our staffing, to do our mission. Let me just run through those. The home program, which helps provide funding for us to build new houses, which we have done a lot in the county and also in the city. Also, the SHOP program, Self-Help Homeownership Opportunity Program, we use for infrastructure. Our largest project ever in Wilmington at Millstone, we used close to $115,000 of SHOP money in that project. We also do repairs for low-income homeowners throughout the city, and we use CDBG money from HUD to do that, administered by the City of Wilmington. There's a couple other programs too that we're concerned about. Section 4, which is a capacity building program. Also CDFI, which helps with funding. And last but not least, if HUD is not enough, then we're also concerned about going after AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps is a vital program where people from this country serve. One of our staff, Irv here, was an AmeriCorps before coming on staff with us. So at Habitat, we're very concerned about our ability to continue to build housing, to provide opportunities for families, two of them who are here today. And so it's really concerning for us and our board, and we're thankful for the county executive and the senator for joining us in this concern and for highlighting what it means. Both of them are advocates for affordable housing, and so it's my pleasure to first introduce our county executive, Matt Meyer, and thank him for all his work for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm county executive and former AmeriCorps volunteer, Matt Meyer. I started my career as an AmeriCorps volunteer and use a lot of those experiences every day as county executive. And one thing I learned while I was an AmeriCorps volunteer through Teach for America is when you make policy, it's got to have a heart and it's got to have a brain. It's got to be caring and loving and represent our values as a community, and it's got to be smart. And these programs being cut from our budget, coming from the federal government, coming from the president's proposed budget, is neither smart nor caring of the people in this county, in this state, and this country. The president's proposed zeroing out community development block grants. Community development block grants have assisted 2,335 Delawareans in Newcastle County alone. 2,335 Delawareans in Newcastle County alone in the last year. They've done incredible things. For example, they've helped fund police assistance, community policing that I know the president actually believes in. Community policing along the Route 9 corridor. 42 officers went out, 42 extra officers went out last year, and as a result, as a direct result, robbery complaints were down 33%. Criminal mischief complaints were down 24%. Cutting the money for this program, zeroing it out, doesn't make sense. Makes no sense at all. In the past year, $991,000 through the home program were invested in affordable housing in unincorporated Newcastle County. $991,000. There's a 9-to-1 ratio. We get $9 of investment for every $1 of federal funding. That's over $9 million of affordable housing invested in a single year. And the proposal is to zero that out. It doesn't make sense. We're fortunate. We're very fortunate. The president's tried to do this before. Cut taxes, give money to his rich friends, and we're all the victims of it. But we're very, very fortunate to have advocates in Washington who are united to oppose these poor decisions. Senator Carper, who's not here, Representative Blunt Rochester, most particularly Senator Coons, who I've heard his fellow senators call the smartest man in the United States Senate. And we're lucky not just because he's smart, not just because he has the eloquence of a preacher, but because he's a former county executive. So he understands the shoes I'm standing in. He understands that 18 months ago, we were standing on this very site to break ground on these homes. He understands 6 weeks ago, I was handing keys to one of 3 Habitat homeowners in Middletown as tears literally came down her cheek. These programs, these dollars mean something. They mean something to the people behind me, to the people in this community, across this county, this state, and this country. And we're so fortunate to have Senator Coons, who called us together today and standing up for all of us in Washington. Without further ado, Senator Chris Coons.
I just want to thank you, Kevin Smith, and everybody in Habitat for Humanity of Delaware. It is a remarkable organization that puts people to work every day building housing, and that helps build communities and that helps sustain change. I am so grateful to you, County Executive Meyer, for joining me and for being so clear-eyed about what the consequences are. Folks, the message we're delivering today is simple. President Trump's proposed budget for this year makes devastating cuts to vital programs that make a difference to communities. He is proposing not just to trim or narrow or shave, but to literally eliminate whole programs that Newcastle County, that the city of Wilmington, that the state of Delaware rely on to build and provide safe, sanitary, decent, and affordable housing, and the national service programs that help organizations like Habitat for Humanity bring young people into service in our communities and help strengthen them. How much of a cut are we talking about? Well, in the case of the home program, it's about $1.2 billion. It would completely eliminate it. In the case of the Community Development Block Grant Program, it's about $3.3 billion. It would completely eliminate it. And in the case of the Corporation for National Community Service, which funds the AmeriCorps program, it's just about $1 billion, and it would completely eliminate it. The larger goal of the president's budget is to repeal the Affordable Care Act, to end the protection for pre-existing conditions, and to make permanent very expensive tax breaks, in particular for the wealthiest Americans. So he, in his budget, would make significant cuts to programs like CDBG, Home, and AmeriCorps that are demonstrated, that have real impact, that, as the county executive has told us, continue to have positive and measurable impact in our communities. And as the leader of Habitat for Humanity has told us, continue to help build stronger and better communities. And instead, he wants to grow our deficit by giving permanent tax cuts to the very wealthiest Americans at a time when our deficit is careening towards $1 trillion. Folks, this is all bad news. And my predecessor, former Senator and Vice President Joe Biden, has often said, don't tell me about your values, show me your budget, and I'll tell you about your values. This is a budget that shows the wrong values and the wrong priorities. One that would make deep cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, lasting and broad cuts to SNAP, to the food stamp program, and dramatic cuts to these important programs. The good news is that on a bipartisan basis, both Republicans and Democrats have pushed back and have defeated these proposed cuts the last 2 years. So I'll close by simply saying, as a member of the Appropriations Committee, I am determined to do everything I can to make sure that these cuts do not come true, that the wonderful young men and women, the seasoned volunteers, and those who are the age of my kids, who put their heart and soul into working with Habitat to build stronger communities, that they'll be able to keep working on Habitat projects, that we'll be able to keep building stronger and safer communities, and that our city, county, and state will be able to continue counting on the federal government to be a good and reliable partner in the terrific work that Habitat is doing here, and that County Executive Myers and his folks are making real all over our county. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much for coming out today.